Gumball's story is about broken timelines, ghost children, and a villain cursed to remember what the world once deleted. Richard Watterson, the giant pink rabbit dad, did not start life on the brightest note. His father walked out on him when he was just a kid. Grandma Jojo covered the truth by saying his dad had only gone out to buy milk. Richard, being too innocent, believed it. The sad part is that the lie was probably kinder, since his dad wasn't a great person anyway. But Jojo's way of raising him wasn't much better. Instead of teaching him responsibility, she basically shaped him into another version of herself. Lazy, careless, and proud of it. When she babysits later in the show, she turns Gumball, Darwin, and Anais into little Richards in less than a day. That explains why Richard is so helpless as an adult. He never stood a chance. Nicole's story crosses his in the strangest way. Imagine this. She's running to a karate competition because her parents are obsessed with her being perfect. Along the way, she finds Richard stuck in a tree, happily watching squirrels. She saves him, and in that moment, she realizes that he doesn't care about pleasing anyone. For someone like Nicole, who spent her life being crushed under her parents' expectations, that attitude was shocking. Richard tells her maybe she should stop living for others. By the time she looks back, her big competition is already over. She loses her chance to prove herself, but gains a new friend. It's absurd, but it makes sense in Gumball's world. Then comes the Choices episode. It shows Nicole's life spinning into different paths, depending on who she could have ended up with. All of them are disasters, except the one with Richard. Their relationship looks messy, but compared to the alternatives, it's the least tragic timeline. Somehow, the rabbit in the tree was her best option. So, Nicole and Richard actually stick together, which feels like a miracle considering everything stacked against them. They decide to get married, invite everyone, and wait for people to show up. Nobody does, not even their families. Imagine booking a wedding and the only guests are the chairs. That was their start as a couple, just the two of them, rejected but determined. Life after that was not glamorous. Richard had no real job. Nicole worked at a factory and they lived in a tiny house that looked like it could collapse at any moment. For Nicole, who had been raised to chase success, it must have felt like failure. Yet she pushed through it, carrying both the bills and Richard's weight at the same time. The two of them learned quickly that love was not romantic candlelight dinners. It was overdue bills, broken appliances, and eating cheap food together while pretending things were fine. Then, Nicole got pregnant. When the baby arrived, they named him Zach. Cute name, right? Wrong. Zach was apparently so odd-looking that even the doctors suggested keeping him a few extra days to make sure he was okay. That is the level of ugly we are talking about. Eventually, they changed his name to Gumball, which somehow fit better for a kid who would grow into pure chaos. And of course, what's a new home without grumpy neighbors? Enter the Robinsons, the family next door who seemed put on Earth for the sole purpose of hating the Wattersons. Just when things started to settle, Richard decided his son needed a friend. His solution was not a playdate or a puppy, it was a goldfish in a bowl. Gumball loved it, but the love story ended fast. Like many tragic childhood pet tales, the fish went down the toilet. There were attempts to save it, but the ending was the same. Goodbye, little fish. Richard, of course, tried to fix it. Instead of going to a normal pet store, he ended up buying another fish from a shady guy in a red van. That should have been a warning sign right there. The seller told him this was no ordinary goldfish and that it needed special care. Richard ignored the warning, carried it home, and gave it to Gumball like it was nothing special. Then, the impossible happened. During a family photo, the goldfish spoke. The shock sent him tumbling back into the toilet, but this one didn't accept his fate. Instead of dying, he crawled his way back, changed and alive. He evolved legs, lungs, and attitude. By the time he returned to the house, he was no longer a pet. He was family. That's how Darwin Watterson was born. A fish that refused to die, climbed out of the sewer, and decided to become someone's brother. It sounds like a horror story, but somehow it turned into one of the sweetest friendships in the show. Gumball's best friend literally came back from the toilet. With Darwin now part of the family, you'd think balance had finally been reached. Then, Anais arrived. She was small, pink, and terrifyingly smart. From the start, she treated her brothers less like siblings and more like lab rats. While Gumball and Darwin played around, Anais calculated, schemed, and outsmarted everyone in the house. It was like having a tiny professor trapped in a toddler's body. The contrast with Richard couldn't be sharper. He avoided responsibility at all costs, while Anais thrived on control. In a way, she became the brain of the family, and their occasional tormentor. By the time Anais joined the mix, the family wasn't just dealing with each other. School life in Elmore brought in a whole new level of weird. The classrooms were run by Miss Simeon, a teacher so ancient she looked like she'd been alive since the Stone Age. Her partner, Principal Brown, wasn't much better. Together, they turned education into a circus. Then there was Banana Joe, the kid who could make even the most serious moment absurd, and Penny, Gumball's shape-shifting love interest who seemed far too normal for the chaos around her. The problem with the show's school episodes is that they rarely follow a clean timeline. One day, Gumball is dealing with romance. The next, he's battling a sentient object. It feels random until a single discovery changes everything. Hidden beneath the silly lessons and slapstick humor is something bigger and darker: the existence of the void. Then came the moment that made Elmore feel less like a wacky cartoon and more like a glitching video game. In Season 3's The Void, Gumball, Darwin, and Mr. Small stumble onto a crack in reality. It isn't just a crack, it's an entire hidden dimension filled with deleted characters, forgotten objects, and broken versions of the world. One of the students, Molly, disappears into it. She isn't missing because she moved away. She's missing because the world literally erased her. Suddenly, all those random plot holes and continuity errors don't look so random. They look like someone is actively deleting what doesn't fit. Rob, a side character barely noticed before, gets sucked into this strange space and doesn't come back the same. The void mutates him. His face warps, his body twists, and when he re-emerges, he isn't just another background kid anymore. He's angry, bitter, and obsessed with Gumball. What makes it worse is that Rob figures out the truth. He knows they're all just cartoon characters on a TV show. That knowledge alone is terrifying, but Rob also decides to play the role of villain, mostly because someone has to. In the disaster, he gets hold of a remote from the same shady red van guy who sold Richard Darwin's fish. This remote can control reality itself: rewind, pause, reset. Rob uses it to ruin Gumball's life, bending Elmore like it's just another program. But in the end, Gumball tricks him and hurls him back into the void. That should have been the end, but Rob doesn't go quietly. In the return, Gumball time travels, trying to undo the mess. He even tries to save Rob, and for a moment, they actually understand each other. Rob destroys the remote, realizing the power is too dangerous, and fades back into obscurity. But the damage is done. The void is still there, still swallowing, and Rob isn't gone for good. He never is. Just when it felt like things couldn't get stranger, Banana Barbara revealed she could see the future. Her power wasn't flashy. No glowing eyes or dramatic speeches. She simply drew pictures. But those pictures told the story of disasters before they even happened. It was like Elmore had its own doomsday prophet, only she worked with crayons. At first, the drawings seemed silly. Then, Gumball noticed one sketch that showed him naked, surrounded by destruction. The scary part? It was of an event he had never lived. Barbara's prophecies weren't just possible outcomes. They were locked-in moments, waiting to arrive. The more we see, the darker it gets. Barbara admits she cannot always control what she draws. The future pours out of her, whether anyone wants to see it or not. And every new image seems to pull the Wattersons closer to something final, something that feels like the end of Elmore itself. What had once looked like random chaos now starts to feel like an inevitable countdown. The family's adventures aren't just wacky episodes anymore. They are puzzle pieces moving toward a bigger picture, a picture already sketched out in Barbara's notebook. The final season builds to one of the strangest and darkest episodes of the whole series: the Inquisition. A new character arrives at Elmore Junior High, calling himself the Inquisitor. He doesn't look like anyone we've seen before. Stern, commanding, and determined to change everything. His mission sounds insane. He wants to fix Elmore by turning all the cartoon characters into humans with flesh and bones. According to him, this is the only way they can survive. One by one, students begin transforming, and the school fills with unsettling half-human versions of familiar faces. The plan looks horrifying, but the Inquisitor insists it's the only hope. Then the big reveal hits. The Inquisitor is Rob in disguise. Scarred by the Void and desperate to protect everyone, he tries to warn them. If they don't change, the cartoon will collapse. But no one believes him. Gumball and Darwin, instead of listening, ruin his machine like they always do. The school laughs off Rob's warnings, treating him as just another villain with a bad plan. But he wasn't lying. That night, the Void begins devouring everything. The episode ends not with closure, but with the world literally falling apart. A cliffhanger, and then silence. Most shows would leave that kind of ending untouched, but Gumball's story didn't stay buried. An unofficial continuation appeared online called The Amazing Future of Gumball. It imagines what happens 11 years after the Inquisition, and it is every bit as bizarre as the episodes before it. In this version, life goes on. Gumball and Penny get married, while Darwin ties the knot with Carrie. But the happiness doesn't last long. Thanks to one of Gumball's reckless plans, Darwin ends up drinking the wrong potion and is accidentally poisoned. He dies after a few days in the hospital, but because Carrie is a ghost, Darwin doesn't leave completely. He returns as a spirit too, and oddly enough, he's fine with it. Now, Gumball's best friend is a ghost forever. The families continue to grow. Gumball and Penny's son is named Zach, the same name Gumball himself once had before he changed it. Darwin and Carrie go further, raising an entire ghost brood. 8 kids in total, with Sally being the eldest. Their children, along with Gumball's, start attending Elmore Junior High, creating a new generation of chaos. But peace never lasts in this universe. Rob comes back once more, this time as Void Rob, a twisted entity who has lost his old body. He possesses a boy named Randall to experiment with control, still aiming for revenge against Gumball. Even after decades, the Void refuses to let go. The continuation keeps the same mix of funny and disturbing. Babies painted blue, fathers turned into spirits, and the constant shadow of the Void. All reminders that in Elmore, nothing ever truly ends. From Richard's broken childhood to Darwin's toilet rebirth, from Rob's endless returns to the Void devouring all. Do you think Elmore was ever meant to survive at all?